What's up, everybody? Welcome to the K-Pop Kimchi Podcast, your number one source for girl group content, and as of the last 7 weeks, and now this week, the number one source of Boys Planet content. I'm your host, Fog Raw, and as you can tell from the intro, Justin is not with us because he had some prior engagements he needed to attend to. So I will be giving you your recap of Boys Planet Episode 8, the second eliminations. Justin did come over earlier before he left, and we did film a reaction to the top 9 being voted in, so you can go watch that on our YouTube if you want to see our reactions to that. But I'm going to give you an entire recap of the whole episode like we do every week. So the first thing to point out is every single challenge or mission, they have like a special idol who's like more famous or been in the business for a little bit come in and talk to them and introduce the next mission they have to do. The first one was the guy from 101. The second one is Minnie Hook from B2B. And this week, or this mission, I guess, I don't know how many weeks it's actually passed in the show, the Star Master was Key from SHINee, and he was here to introduce the Artist Battle mission, which is actually pretty cool for them because Key's a pretty big deal in the K-pop world, if you guys don't know. He also told everybody that out of the 51 idols or trainees left, there's going to be 28 of them left before they even complete this mission. So that kind of shocked them. Before I get into talking about the actual mission and what everybody's doing, I always thought it was weird in these shows, because we've watched a bunch of them now. Well, they'll go to this third mission, and they'll split everybody up into like their groups they're supposed to be in, just for them to practice for a week or so, and then go to second elimination, get certain guys eliminated, and then have to go back and rearrange the teams again after they just spent a week learning these parts and this stuff for these other songs. I always thought that was kind of dumb. Like, you could have put some type of filler episode or something. Like, I don't know. Never really made sense to me. I remember in Produce 48, one of the groups literally had like 2 people left, and everyone had to go out and kick some of the members out of their group, and everybody's really sad about it, and feelings were getting hurt. So it's kind of weird to me, but whatever. That's just how they do them, I guess. But for Artist Battle Mission, this essentially was 5 unique songs made by different composers. Up until now, everything's been kind of just cover songs or cover concepts already existed. This is something completely unique. They're only given like the songs and the choreo, and they have to come up with like, the concept and how they're going to execute it and whatever's going on with that. So that's always a fun one for us. Actually, after watching all these shows, all the original songs that have been put out have always been really good, so I'm looking forward to these stages the most. They announced that the winners, like the winning group, gets 200,000 points. The MVP from the winners groups gets an extra 200,000 points, which would be 400,000 points, which is a lot. And the winning team not only gets the classic M Countdown performance stage, but also a very special fan meeting with the actual like fans and star creators that have been voting and stuff. So like a little like meet and greet with the fans, which is always really fun. So that's cool for them. The big takeaway from this is that Jiwoon didn't want to do a sexy concept because he said he's already done that every single time he's had to perform. He wants to do like a more refreshing concept. So good on him for trying to switch it up and not just going to the bread and butter, because that shows, he wants to try different things, be multi-talented in different areas, which is pretty good. Now, the way that these groups are picked, they weren't actually chosen by the members or by like some type of weird, like, highest rank picks first or lowest rank picks first. These are actually done through a voting system, like how you'd vote for the trainees to make the group. They basically picked which members they thought would fit the concept the best of whatever song that they were listening to, and that's how they got placed. So all of these groups that are being made were 100% picked by the fans, allegedly. All of them went, they got assigned from like the lowest ranking, like, okay, you go to this room, and then they kept going from 51 down to 1. It was always like a big surprise, like who's going to walk in and stuff. The only thing to really take away from that whole segment was that the Say My Name team, those guys kind of played a joke on Yoojin and Jiwoon, and also Hanbin when they walked in, which is pretty funny. When Yoojin came in, they tried to tell him that there's already too many people, so they had to kick somebody out. So he kicked Wong Ki out, and he's like, "Oh, we're just joking. That's not really what happened." And then they all ran back. He ran back, and he's like, "How dare you kick me out of the group?" And he's like, really just joking with it. It was funny. Then when Jiwoon came in, they had Wong Ki crying in a corner with Yoojin, and they're like, "What's wrong?" He goes, "Oh, he's sad because Yoojin had to kick him out of the group," and he's like, bawling his eyes out. So he's like trying to comfort him, like, "Oh, we're just playing." So they like to play pranks on him. And the best one was when Hanbin came in, since he was number 1. It was just him and Takedo. And he's like, "Where's everybody?" He goes, "It's just us." And he's like, "No, seriously?" He goes, "Yeah." And then, of course, everybody came out and was like, "Oh, we're just joking. We're all here." So that was fun. It's always fun to see him interact and do goofy stuff like that. So after that, they got into the individual breakdowns of each of the groups practicing and going through the turbulations, whatever's going on. So I'm going to run down a little list of each group and, an important thing to point out about it. Because, a lot of times you really don't need to watch this because it doesn't really matter. Especially when a lot of guys are getting eliminated. But I'll give you a little something here since you didn't watch the episode. Or maybe you will. So the unguard team, the leader was Hotek or Huey. He got chosen as the leader, which is kind of funny because he literally is just like, yeah, I'll be the leader. And they're like, okay. So there's no disagreements there. And the killing parts, there's 2 killing parts given out to each person. I think it's just because they had so many members and there's only so many parts, so they kind of split the parts up between the people, and some people got multiple parts. And you don't know who's going to be there, so it'll be switched eventually. But the killing parts went to Gunwook and Gyuvin, and they did their little pre-show thing for the crowd, which would, was the other idols or trainees. And they got their feedback back, and they said, hey, nothing needs fixed because you guys are perfect. So that's always a plus. In my opinion, I think Gunwook should have been the killing part over Gyuvin because at least Gunwook memorized the lines in the short period they have. And he actually did pretty good. So we'll see what happens with that group since a lot of those guys made it. Next, we have the Say My Name stage. And this is the stage that has like a stacked lineup of top 9 guys. I think they got like 4 or 5 of them. So, it's a pretty stacked lineup. The best part is when they ask who wants to be the leader. And Hanbin volunteers to be the leader. But at the same time, Matthew's like thinking about it. So he has like this awkward moment where he goes to raise his hand and then Hanbin volunteers and he's like, oh no, you're right, you should be the leader. So it was really funny. The killing part actually went to Eugen and our boy Ollie. So good job, Ollie. I thought Ollie actually did a really good in his little like test run, whatever he was doing for him. He sounded pretty good. So I hope he actually gets the killing part in the actual song because he did good. And also a weird moment, they like showed Matthew and Hanbin kind of having different teaching styles and kind of clashing after they showed them being friends for so long on the show. I don't really think it was necessary, to be honest with you. Next, we have the Over Me team, and Jung Woo was the leader of their team, which he deserved it, honestly. He's been a good leader because he was a leader for the backdoor stage. He did a sick job on that. And he was also the leader on the home stage. So he's a pretty good leader, in my opinion. The killing parts on that went to Zhang Hao and Kita. Now, there's a moment when one of the trainees, Zhang Xiang, caused some issues with the group because he wanted to change some of the lines or change some of the position. I guess not really position. He wanted to like change certain parts of what he had to sing with somebody else because he couldn't hit those high registered notes. And he was just kind of like arguing, like, can I sing this or can I do this? And they're like, no, it's already set. Like, you just got to do what you got to do. Like, that's what the part is. Like, it's already broken down. And he's like trying to argue with him, but not really argue, but trying to like, but that got shut down by Jungwoo real quick. He literally was like, hey, that's not how it works. Like, do you understand me? And he like made sure he understood him so he didn't complain about it anymore. But then he also showed some other type of resilience against wanting to listen and do what he was told, which has been a continuous problem because he got in the same predicament with Ricky in the last stage. So I don't know if this guy just has like a bad temper or he like is really hard-headed or what. But yeah, he was causing some problems with him in practice. Then another part was Jung Hyun wanted to compose a rap for his part. And he basically wrote it when they met with the composers to like do a little run-through thing, which I didn't know they even did in this show because I've never seen it before. He pitched his rap and they're like, oh yeah, that's really good. Like, you should do that. That's really cool. So good for him, stepping up, trying to step out of his comfort zone and getting the big okay. So hopefully that turns out good for him. Be honest with you, don't remember if he's there or not. Then we had the switch stage, which was a train wreck of a group, honestly. Not because of the people in it, but because everybody was just super down the whole time because all of them were very low ranked. And they knew ahead of time, like, if you don't make it into the final lineup or the final elimination here, you're not going to be in the performance. So everybody's like, what's the point of performing if we're not even going to be here? Like, it doesn't make any sense for us to even try. One person in particular was Ichan, and he was a problem the entire time. He messed up the choreo. He messed up, practicing. He didn't want to practice. He just didn't take it seriously at all. He kept making jokes about, oh, it doesn't matter, we're not going to be here, or why should we try? It'll be funny if, we did really good, but we're not even going to be here, so it doesn't matter. And that really got on the leader's nerves, who was Umuti, because he was the only one, like, trying and taking it serious. Because he's like, we still got one last shot, like, let's not give up. Like, let's try our best, keep fighting. And he also got the killing part along with Camden out of necessity, because nobody else wanted it, because nobody cared. Which kind of is sad, like, you're on the show, like, I get you're down and you're in a bad predicament, but you should probably try, like, at least look good for the cameras. Maybe they only caught him during the depressing and sad parts of their performance or practice because, Mnet editing, but they all seemed pretty down on the whole situation and didn't really try too much. At least I-Chan did. A couple of the other guys are kind of like, yeah, joking around too, but I think they tried a little harder. The other thing I didn't realize they did, which was kind of weird, because they've never shown this in any of the other, 7 survival shows we've watched, is them, talking and running ideas and creative stuff past, the creator of the songs, and then them actually going and practicing for the dance coaches at, 1 Million Dance Studio. I don't know why that's never come up in any of the other elimination shows, unless they really didn't do it in any of the other ones, which is kind of weird, in my opinion. I guess there's a lot more stuff that happens behind the scenes than we really think, because a lot of times they show, a little, blurb of them complaining or crying or going through a hard time, and then they go to the performance, and it's fine. But that team, not good. I can tell you, I don't remember 100%, but maybe only 1 or 2 of them made it, so there's going to be a whole other group of people that are going to be performing this. But they still should have tried a little bit, or gave it a little bit of effort. Next, we have the Supercharger team, and Lee Dong was the leader, and he's the one that looks like Lee Took from Super Junior. And now that I've told you that, when you see him, you're never going to be able to unsee it, because that's exactly who he looks like his little brother or his cousin or something. Haruto got the killing part, and as soon as he did it, the leader guy was like, hey, I'm putting you in charge of the choreo, help teach these dudes, you're a really good dancer, you've been ranked really high every single time. So help teach these dudes the choreo, and that's essentially what he did, was took over, the leadership duties of showing them the choreo, the moves and all this stuff. And then everybody's feeling real good. They went to a little pre-practicing, and it was a train wreck. It was bad. It was just not good. And then Haruto was crying because he thought he should have tried better, tried harder. It was just not good. So we'll see what happens with that when it comes to the actual performance, because I'm sure it's going to be just fine. But it was pretty bad, I'm not going to lie. When the little pre-practice or pre-performance cards came back from their evaluation from the other idols, they wrote on the thing, members or trainees that need help or more practice. It's just all of them. And I'm like, whoa, that's kind of rough. So everyone was kind of down after that, but we'll see what happens with that. Then after it showed them going through the struggles of practicing and stuff for a little bit, they had this little cutaway moment when So-won and Wong Ki got to do this Planet Camp kind of show, which is them with a selfie stick, and they basically just walked around and showed everybody from the morning to when they went to bed at night, which is kind of cool because you don't really get to see that on this. But it shows their everyday lives, what they do every single day, because usually you just see, show up, get your task, do whatever it is you're doing, practice, then they're in bed the next day and it's starting over. But it showed them waking up, getting ready, eating, going to practice, messing around, dudes being dudes, broing out with their dogs. So that was kind of fun. But then after an hour and a half, we finally got into the elimination. I'm not going to go through everybody, but I'm going to hit on a couple of the main people that, or the ones that we like. I'm sorry if these aren't your favorite people and some of your guys got eliminated. A lot of good people actually got eliminated in my opinion, but that's the nature of the beast. Notably, Jay is number 12 now. He dropped out of the top 9. I can't say I'm surprised. Kind of saw this coming since the whole show started out with 1 billion cutaways to him, and now we've barely seen him over the last couple weeks. Still there though, so that's what matters. One of my favorite guys, Jongwoo, had the biggest jump, and he went from spot 38 to 15. And I really like him, so I hope he makes it. I think maybe one of my favorites, Park Han-bin, jumped up a lot too and went to number 13. I personally think he's really good, especially after the last stages when he showed his leadership and how talented he is at multiple facets of dance, singing, and stuff like that. I really hope he makes it. If he doesn't make it, let me tell you, he's going to be very successful in another boy group when eventually they debut him because he's really good. Our boy Ricky, number 14, still just kind of hovering in the middle. Our other boy, Haruto, number 16. Not in the top 9, but still, for hovering out this outside. I can't say you're going to have a chance of making it because at this point, the top guys are kind of sealed based off votes. I'd be shocked to see any of these guys make up enough votes to make it into the top 9. But it's good they're still there. Number 1 in our hearts, Takudo, rolled in at number 25 after dropping down a bunch of spots. And then Justin's boy, Ali, number 27. I really like Ali. He's really young still. I think he's really talented. He's got a bright future ahead of him, so I'm glad he made it. Then we got into, where they were oh yeah, we're going to call up these 3 guys. Number 3 is going to be, or whoever we announce first is going to be number 11. And they announced Hotek or Huey. He was number 11, so he fell out of the top 9 too. Then you had them we're going to announce who's in the top 9 now. And the guy who's not in the top 9 is number 10. And Gunwook made it into number 9, so he finally cracked the top 9 for going up every week. Then that made Junhyun number 10. Then our boy Kita was number 8. The big surprise for me, which apparently isn't a surprise for other people because they've been moving up the ranks, was Taeray was number 7. Gyuvin was number 6. Jiwoon was number 5. Matthew dropped to number 4. Yujin was number 3, which made Zhang Hao number 2, which is a big leap for him. And then, of course, our Lord and Savior, Sung Han Bin, was number 1, as he has been this entire show. So unless something crazy happens, there's no way he's not making it. Like, legit, these like top 5 or 6 guys have so many votes right now that if each of their fans keep voting every week, it's like improbable for anybody else to make it past, number 7. Crazier things have happened, but they've also come out and said that every single one of those is rigged. So we'll see what happens with this one. And then, of course, the Golden Goose, the number 1 position, the last of the last, Mr. Irrelevant, number 28, was Hiroto. For some reason, that's like the most coveted spot. I think it's because they just like to build up the tension and make them even more desperate to get a spot because they know they're not going to make a top 9 if you're like one of the lower ranked guys. But that's pretty much what happened in this week's episode. Oh, sorry, I forgot. They was throwing like some fun thing, because you always show them working, then they throw like some fun activity or them doing something in it. And I forgot where it was. Maybe halfway through the bottom numbers, they had like a little cutaway where they showed them having a field day, which they basically just went and played games with each other. If you want to watch, I'm sure you could look it up on YouTube or something, but it was pretty fun. The first game they played was Protect the Princess, which basically each of the 5 teams had one of the members dress up like a girl, like wear a wig and stuff, and the other members had to protect them from losing the wig or getting knocked out of the circle, and the last team won. And Team Over Me won, and they got like a whole like array of skincare products, which is pretty cool. Then for the final one, they had a big game of chicken, like a chicken fight where you like hop around on one leg and you try to knock the other people over. And it was a free-for-all. And the winner of that was Gunwook. And he actually got a pretty decent prize because he got a whole like brand new phone and the full like decked out everything based off like some game that they had. I don't know what the game was. But he like got a brand new phone, case, charms, all kinds of cool stuff. So that was cool for him. That pretty much covers this week's episode. Like I said, a lot of good guys got eliminated. Next week, I guess, they're going to be reshuffling up their teams and seeing who's going to be performing what song, which I'm really looking forward to. That's going to be cool. Justin should be back next week as well. He'll be back from his trip. Let us know if any of your favorites didn't make it, and if they didn't, hopefully they have a career with another company or going back overseas they can do something, because there's a lot of these elimination shows. There's always hope for anyone who's on one of these produced shows. It's good exposure for them. And also let us know what your favorite stage is looking forward to seeing, because I think a lot of these are going to be pretty cool in my opinion. But yeah, that does it for this week. Until next week, we'll catch you later. Peace.
이대로 지나칠 수 없어 맞물린 시선 속에 너를 읽었어 그 표정 그 눈빛 분명 본 적 있어 난 너야 안녕 나야 But yes me yes me All day all night long 숨쉬듯이 원할